Out in the quiet woods of Michigan's Upper Peninsula, where the trees close in like an old secret and the air turns cold without warning, there's a light that dances where no light should be. It flickers, it floats, and sometimes it moves like it's being carried by someone you can't see. Locals say it's been appearing for generations, long before smartphones and highway headlights could explain it away. They call it the Paulding Light, and some say it's a ghostly railroad worker swinging his lantern through the trees after a deadly accident. Others claim it's a restless spirit of a father still searching for his lost child. And a few believe it's something older, something elemental, guarding the land from the living. Skeptics have tried to explain it. Scientists even brought in tools. But still, the light comes back and the stories keep growing. Tonight we step into the woods to chase the flickering glow for ourselves. But be warned, not everything unexplained stays that way forever. This is Supernatural Signals, and tonight we're tuning into the Paulding Light. Okay, so let's rewind the tape a bit. Before the spooky legends, the lantern-wielding ghosts, and the amateur ghost hunters with questionable equipment showed up. The Paulding Light has been a glowing mystery in Michigan's Upper Peninsula for decades. Specifically near the tiny town of Paulding, not far from Watersmeet. And yes, that's a real place. The light appears in a valley at the end of the dead-end road, surrounded by a thick forest. You drive out to the viewing spot, park, and then wait. Sometimes nothing happens, and then sometimes the woods decide to put on a show. But you don't have to take my word for it. Let's see what Carl and Carol has to say about this mysterious light.
We're more than happy to fill us in on the legend and lore of the Paulding Lights, along with possible explanations.
Some say it's car lights. Some said it was a railroad brakeman with his arm out and had the lantern, and it hit something and took his arm off, and the light was swinging. And this is some of the things that
Some of the legends that's
some of the legends,
passed
and
down.
one was about an Indian
Who didn't like the power lines.
who didn't like the power lines,
Uh-huh.
So he
and
dances
so there's
on 'em.
he's dancing on the lines. It is kind of unique, and we'll take you down there after a while, and when it gets dark, and so that you can actually see for yourself, and it is a phenomenon.
Describe to me what we would see down there. I mean, what kind of lights are they? How bright are they? Does weather affect them in any way? Or
Well, yes, it has to be a clear night.
Uh-huh.
Apparently they're coming from a long ways away. It seems to follow the power lines,
It will
or
show
come
red
from
and
the
green.
direction, and it shows kind of red and green. Sometimes you'll see one light stacked on top of the other one. You'll see two lights.
Mm-hmm.
It is very bright, and it'll come at you, and then as it gets brighter.
And honestly, if you can't believe folks like Carl and Carol, who can you believe? I'm sorry, I think they're adorable and I stand them. Anyway, now the first documented sighting of the light was in 1966. A group of teenagers saw a strange glow in the distance, and instead of doing literally anything else, they did the most teen horror movie thing imaginable. They followed it. That report kicked off decades of curiosity, midnight stakeouts, and a whole lot of "bro, did you see that" moments. Eventually, the U.S. Forest Service even put up a sign at the viewing area explaining that yes, you're in the right place, and no, they're not responsible if you get haunted, abducted, or just eaten by mosquitoes. For years, the light was considered unexplainable, and was even featured in Ripley's Believe It or Not. And once, even a reward for $100,000 for someone to give a scientific explanation as to what it was and what was causing it was offered. For years, the light was considered unexplainable. Locals had their theories, legends cropped up like weeds, and the area became a kind of paranormal pit stop, right between Bigfoot country and an episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark? Then, in 2010, a group of students from Michigan Tech decided to ruin everyone's fun. Using telescopes and some good old-fashioned science, they tracked the light to a highway. Turns out, headlights from cars on US 45 were bending over the valley in just the right way to look like ghostly lanterns. Case closed, right? Except not really. See, the light's been spotted on nights when there's no traffic. It's changed colors. It appears during power outages. And as any property mystery should, it refuses to behave consistently. So while the official explanation that satisfies the masses might be just headlights, locals, and let's be real, people like us, aren't entirely convinced. The history is layered and the sightings are persistent, and the legends, well, we're about to get into those right now. Because honestly, what's a good glowing mystery in the woods without a few restless spirits and deeply questionable decisions from the afterlife? The most popular tale, probably the crown jewel of the Paulding folklore, involves a railroad brakeman. Back in the day, there were supposedly a set of train tracks that ran through the valley. One night, this unlucky soul was out on the tracks, lantern in hand, trying to stop an oncoming train. And as you can probably guess, he didn't make it. And ever since, people claim the light in his ghost still signaling the dark, either warning others or just doomed to repeat his last moments. Another version perhaps has an even darker tone. A man, some say a father or a grandfather, is wandering the woods with a lantern, searching for a lost child. And he never finds them. And apparently, he'll never stop looking. The light, according to this legend, is his endless search, a glowing symbol of grief and heartbreak. Now, there are even whispers about Native American spirits or ancient energy tied to the land itself. Stuff that's less about simple ghosts and more about something deeper and stranger, and harder to debunk without binoculars in a science fair project. These versions tend to lean into the idea that Paulding Light isn't a ghost, it's a warning. Of what? No one knows, but apparently it's very persistent about it. Oh, and just to give you more to think about, there have been sightings where the light split into multiple orbs, or started moving toward people, or vanished only to reappear closer than it had any right to be. So whether it's tragedy, lore, or just the universe playing flashlight tag, these stories stick with you. They echo the same feeling people describe when they see the light in person. Wonder with just a pinch of dread. Now, of course, we're going to have to go look at the skeptics, the science, and whether it's just all headlights after all. Or if the Paulding Light is smarter than we give it credit for. So stay with me. Alrighty, so time to play devil's advocate. Because for every campfire ghost story and blurry orb photo, there's a guy in cargo shorts yelling, "It's headlights!" And unfortunately, he might not entirely be wrong. Because like we said before, in 2010, a group of engineering students from Michigan Tech rolled into Paulding like paranormal buzzkills. Armed with telescopes, maps, and probably too much coffee, they tracked the light to a very non-ghostly source, the highway. Specifically US 45, miles away just over the horizon. And what they discovered was that under certain conditions, car headlights can appear to float eerily in the valley due to a combo of elevation, the curve of the road, and some atmospheric bending magic. They even did a little demo where someone drove a car along the stretch while others watched from the Paulding viewing spot. And yet, the light appeared right on cue. The students high-fived, paranormal fans everywhere collectively groaned. Now, here's the thing. The explanation does make sense. Atmospheric refraction is real, and lights can bend over hills. And sure, it's totally possible that a lot of sightings, especially the regular ones, are just headlights playing tricks. Case closed. Like I said before, not so fast. Because plenty of people claim to have seen the Paulding Light under circumstances that don't line up with the headlight theory, such as no traffic and no cars, and no weather conditions that would cause light to bend. Some say the light changes colors, splits into separate orbs, or moves in ways that headlights simply can't. Even the Michigan Tech team admitted that while they could replicate the effect, they couldn't explain every single report. And even though I claim to be skeptical, I do believe that you need to consider every type of aspect when it comes to a story. You can't just leave out certain cases just to cherry pick it to make your hypothesis make sense. So yeah, headlights might explain a lot, but they don't explain everything. And as anyone who has experienced something weird will tell you, sometimes the unsettling part is how close the explanation almost gets, without fully nailing it. Alright, so let's go ahead and jump into my own thoughts and theories before we close it out. So here's what I land with the Paulding Light. I think like a lot of mysteries, the truth is a mix of both worlds. Yeah, sure, maybe it's headlights bending over the hills, fooling us with the perfect combination of landscape and physics. But I also think something deeper lingers there. Something strange and something watching. And here's the thing. Why did it take nearly 40 years for someone to figure this out? If it really is just car lights, why all the mystery? Why the legends? Why the persistence? I kind of think of the universe, whatever force you believe in, has a sneaky habit of letting humans chase the supernatural for a while. Like it wants us to wonder, it lets us fixate, question, and gather at the edge of the woods with flashlights and theories. And just when too many people are starting to look a little too closely, boom, it just headlights. Simple, tidy, case closed, nothing to see here, but only on the surface. Because if you look at the details, they don't fully add up. It's just enough to give skeptics a reason to shrug and walk away, and just enough to leave the rest of us leaning in closer, whispering, yeah, but what if? But you know what really pulled me into this case? It wasn't the mystery of the light itself. It was the ghost stories. I know, it seems like a weird left turn, but please stay with me. Everyone gets so caught up in trying to solve the light that it's easy to forget how heartbreaking some of these stories tied to it are. And whether they are real or not, they carry this emotional weight that I can't shake. Think about it, and I mean really think about it. All those empaths out there, please just really think about it. A man trapped in time, waving his lantern forever, trying to stop a train that's already gone. A father endlessly searching the woods for his lost child, never finding them, never resting. That's not just paranormal, it's devastating. And I think when we tell ghost stories, our focus is usually on the victims, quote unquote, or us being scared by the storytelling. But really think about what the ghost is going through and how scared they must be, or how confused, or how angry. And I know this might sound like a stretch, but isn't that what a lot of us go through in real life? That endless loop, the rejection after rejection, the close but not quite moments, the pleas for help that go unanswered, the why doesn't anyone see me scream into the void. It's all exhausting. Now imagine that loop never ends. Imagine you die in that loop and it becomes your eternity. I guess I've always had a soft spot for ghosts. Not just the scary kind, but the ones who seem stuck. The ones who might just want a moment of peace, or help, or to be seen. And maybe, just maybe, that's why I keep chasing stories like this. Next episode, probably something with a ghost again. Because that's what's been tugging on me lately. But for now, this one's going to sit with me for a while. And maybe it'll sit with you too. Alrighty, thanks for joining me on this strange little journey into the Paulding Light. If you got theories of your own, or if you've seen something weird you can't explain, drop a comment or message me on my Instagram at supernatural_signals. And hey, whether you're a skeptic, a believer, or somewhere in between, stay curious and stay tuned into the supernatural. Thanks for watching.